Thank you for coming today. I wanted to record a message for Veterans Day, November the 11th. This is for contemplation and reflection. One of the things that happened to me was I was working at a museum, interpretive museum, and I was visited by some Israeli soldiers. The Israeli soldiers were wounded warriors. I was serving in a teepee at that time, and they asked for prayers. And what happened there was I sang one of our songs for the wounded warriors. And when I finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the teepee. Their families were with them, the soldiers were there, everyone came to tears, and it was a healing song. It was a healing time inside the teepee. The soldiers gave me their Wounded Warrior medals, and I still have those medals today. So that is a bit of remembrance of the soldiers who have given of themselves in war. I managed to share that event with the elders, and the elders said it was very significant what I did, was able to share a song with wounded veterans. Within a very short time thereafter, I was asked to participate in the United Church and Sabil trip to Israel, Palestine. It is a bit of a miracle what happened, working with the Israeli soldiers and then within a short time thereafter qualifying for a trip to Israel. My scripture reading for the fallen soldiers and those veterans who still are haunted by the wars is Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The word of the Lord, 23rd Psalm. As I read this 23rd Psalm, I am transported back to Israel on the Mount of Olives. And as you look out on the Mount of Olives, you can see all of the burial sites between the Mount of Olives and the Jerusalem city walls. So as you read the 23rd Psalm, I see what Jesus was talking about. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And for those of you who do go to Israel, you'll see where the Mount of Olives is. And there's a couple prayers there that are a Cree prayer and a Stony prayer. And that's in the Garden of Our Father. Below the Mount of Olives is the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus was really tortured over his decision what to do and to follow the Creator, follow God's path, and to go forward into the crucifixion. I wanted to read this 23rd Psalm for those veterans who have passed and those who are still with us. I pray that they will find solace in the reading of Scripture as I have. And I am thankful to the United Church that I was able to go to Palestine, Israel, and attend some of the events with the Sabil, the Palestinian Christian group of Sabil, and thankful to Norma Carmi when I was there in 2017. So I appreciate that insight, that trip, and that pilgrimage, because it really was a pilgrimage for me. At this time, I'd like to have a reading from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Call 79, the commemoration. We call upon the federal government in collaboration with survivors Aboriginal organizations, and the arts community to develop a reconciliation framework for Canadian heritage and commemoration. This would include, but not be limited to, amending the Historic Sites and Monuments Act to include First Nation, Inuit, and Métis representation on the Historic Sites and Monuments Boards of Canada and its Secretariat. We also invite them to revise the policies, criteria, and practices of the National Program of Historical Commemoration to integrate Indigenous history, heritage, values, and memory practices into Canada's national heritage and story. There is more here, but you will need to take a look at it and see where you fit as a congregation, as an individual, as a conference, as a region. What are you called to do to help address this call 79? Finally, I want to do a reading of Indigenous warriors' perspective. And my father recounts this story in his book. Having been so instructed from boyhood, warriors faced enemies courageously, and many tales are told about the deeds of bravery performed by our forefathers. Indeed, much of what we know of the past is preserved for us in the Indian oral tradition. Much of the wisdom acquired by our people throughout the ages is passed on to us by our elders through the legends that tell of stony courage, history, and religious life. These legends are like parables. They convey social teachings and religious truths. There are many stony legends of warriors, braves, and medicine men and women who, when in difficult situations, changed into animals and birds. Such stories usually praise some virtue while reflecting our concept of the unity of nature. George Ear, a present-day Stoney elder, tells a favorite legend about a Stoney warrior named Wolf come into view. His father, a great warrior named Ear. He had been loved as a champion of justice and feared as a fighter. But he was killed by cowardly enemies who did not have courage to face him in open battle. During his own life, Wolf come into view was approached by a spirit of wolf guise who imparted a gift to him. Wolf come into view often relied on this gift to help him out of difficult situations, as was the case one time at Cochrane Hill, east of Morley. One day, he was hunting buffalo, and he climbed Cochrane Hill in order to look over the valleys below. Upon reaching the summit, he spotted enemy warriors. They too were viewing the land below for buffalo herds and saw him before he could duck out of sight. They immediately gave a loud whoop and came after him. But Wolf, come into view, ducked into the nearby bushes and called upon his guardian wolf spirit to deliver him. Enemy warriors scoured the bushes, attempting to find him, but to no avail. Finally, one of them pointed northward toward the next hill and said, "Look over there." The others looked and saw a wolf loping away. The enemy leader said, "Do not bother that man. He turned into a wolf. He must be spiritually gifted. He must be a great warrior." From that time on, Wolf come into view was respected by all enemy warriors. This was only one of many feats that he performed in his lifetime. When the missionaries first came to this part of the country, Wolf come into view, and all his brothers were given the surname Ear. But Wolf come into view himself elected to change his name to Mark because it was more appealing to him. Today, all those who go by the surname of Mark are his descendants. They have every reason to be proud of him because he was a brave man in every true sense of the word. This is the story of one of the Indigenous warriors, and we have many across the country that have sacrificed their life in war, in battle, in service. So at this time we remember them. We ask for a time and a moment of prayerful thought. We appreciate all the sacrifice and service of our veterans, of our Indigenous veterans across the country, and we ask for their proper placement of recognition at the monuments, at times of announcements and times of recognition for the fallen warriors that have served in the many wars that have confronted the nation of Canada and the United States. So with that, I thank you for allowing me to share this moment of remembrance for Veterans Day, November 11th. Thank you.